To all those people watching, I would like to remind everyone that this video is not made strictly for kids. It is for older fans and adults too. Enjoy the fucking video! This video is brought to you by my loyal patrons. Register now at any tier to watch new videos 1 month in advance before they're made public. Link is in the description. Many years ago, Henry the Green Engine had a different shape. Rumour had it that he was built from stolen designs from Gresley on the mainland, and it wasn't found out that they were rejected until it was too late. Meanwhile, Topham Hatt was in desperate need of an engine due to a locomotive crisis, particularly an Atlantic type, and so Henry was sold to him, much to fury when he realised that he had been swindled because of his desperation. Because of his shape, Henry's firebox was small and couldn't produce much heat from the coal that the other engines use. Henry's driver then suggested using Welsh coal. It's expensive, but Henry deserves a second chance. James shall go and collect some. When the coal came, Henry felt like a brand new engine. I feel so well, he said happily as he puffed down the line. But despite Henry's happiness, it wouldn't last long.
If you ever visit the island of Sodor and are interested in the stories from the various railways, then you should visit the Railway Archives. It's a treasure trove of stories over the years with all of the engines across the island of Sodor, big or small. Let's take a look at all the stories that are a blast from the past for the engines of Sodor.
While the Welsh coal was doing wonders for Henry, for Topham Hatt, the price had gotten worse and worse for him as the world was going through a recession which was called the Great Depression. Topham Hatt knew that the coal was working well for him, but he needed to keep the railway's finances steady in such dire times. But he had to make a decision. One night Henry puffed into the shed still feeling pleased with himself. The other engines were pleased to see Henry in high spirits, but James was getting annoyed by it. Why do we get regular coal and Henry gets special treatment? He complained. It's simply not fair for us. Because, James, replied Percy crossly, Henry was just built differently to the rest of us. That's why he needs that Welsh coal, and explained the problem that Henry had been facing. Pah! Huffed James. I had wooden brakes once, and you didn't see me having a moan about wanting steel brakes. Henry should just toughen up and deal with the regular coal we're using. Before Henry could retort, Topham Hatt arrived to see him. Good evening, sir, greeted Henry warmly. Is there something you need to tell us? Indeed, Henry, replied Topham Hatt. It's a hard decision for me to make, but the coal you're using is getting more and more expensive, and I cannot afford it due to the recession we're in. You can still use the coal you got now and the latest shipment that James would be bringing tomorrow, but after that, there'll be no more. I hope after that there is a solution to your problem, Henry. This made Henry and the other engines very sad, except for James. At last, he cheered after Topham Hatt went away. No more being Henry's waiter for me. Shush, James, hissed Percy crossly. Can't you see Henry is upset? Yeah, but he shouldn't. He should be like the rest of us. No more special coal for you anymore, Henry. Time to put that illness to rest and get back to being a real engine like us. But poor Henry was too upset to answer, and he was starting to feel very worried. Would he use the regular coal again if a solution isn't found? Or would another engine replace him? He still remembered what Topham Hatt had said to him the previous year.
You're too expensive, Henry. You've had lots of new parts and new paint, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you.
James continued being mean to Henry. You don't know what I'm suffering from, he complained. Later on, James was putting the last load of Henry's Welsh coal, and along the way, he had an idea. The next day, Henry arrived at the coal staves to be loaded up. But he found that they were empty. James! He called from the yards. Where was that shipment of Welsh coal that you were supposed to bring yesterday? But James was pretending to be asleep. Henry hissed crossly. Now what? He groaned. Well, you need to be topped up, old boy, so I think we'll have to use the regular coal instead. Regular coal? Replied Henry worriedly. I understand your worry, Henry, but we have trains to take, and we can't waste any time. So Henry puffed away to be loaded with regular coal instead, while James sniggered with triumph. Now you'll see you're not so special now, he thought. With the regular coal loaded up, Henry puffed on down the line. He was feeling feeble, sluggish, and late. When he approached Edward Station, he found he couldn't go any further. The passengers were cross and began saying what a bad railway it was. Please, pleaded Henry sadly, coughing. Understand that I'm in pain. But the passengers didn't hear what he said, and poor Henry puffed sadly into a siding so another engine could take over his work. The engine taking his train was James. He was looking forward to seeing Henry, but when he saw him in the siding, he could see Henry looking very forlorn and was coughing and spluttering. After James had left, the station master came to see him. Topham Hatt will want to see you soon, Henry, he said. Henry felt more anxious. The driver could see this, and then he had an idea. He asked permission to control, and they agreed. When Henry had enough steam, they made their way out of the yard. Are we going to see the fat director, driver? He asked timidly. Not yet, Henry. We're going to go somewhere special. And soon they came to a large forest filled with broad oak and tall pines. Henry was confused. What's so special about this place, he asked. This is the forest, Henry. I brought you here so you can relax your mind. I sometimes come here when I'm in a spot of bother. Just relax and take it easy. And so he did. Henry marvelled at the sight of it and began to forget about his calamity with the Welsh coal. You know, maybe I shouldn't worry about what's going on. Perhaps the solution for this would be that the coal might get cheaper again. But I shouldn't get my hopes up. This is a wonderful idea, thank you, driver. That's all right. It's just good to see you smile again. When Henry returned to the yard, he saw Topham Hatt and James in the yard. He then told Henry that the last supply of Welsh coal was hidden by James as a trick. I'm sorry, Henry, replied James sadly. I only owned up because I could see how bad you were suffering. Well, that is good, James. You simply put Henry in a great deal of trouble, and have caused our passengers to think that we are a bad railway. I cannot let that slip by. As punishment, you will stay in your shed until you are to be trusted again. Yes, sir, replied James. Henry was glad that he was running on Welsh coal again, and it carried on right through to the winter. One early morning he was to take a train of fish over to Manchester on the mainland, but during the night a heavy snowfall had forced the signal to go down, and the cold had frozen some points to another line, and no one knew what would happen next. James, who was let out of the shed, was taking a goods train, and was waiting for Henry to pass while his crew went to join the guard in his van having cocoa. He then heard Henry's whistle. Best to get ready now, he said. but James couldn't see Henry passing, and then he heard Henry's whistle again. This time it sounded like it was an alarm. James couldn't understand why until... The breakdown gang arrived and work started to lift Henry back onto the line, while James and Edward were helping to clear up the mess. The fat director came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry nervously. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow had caused the accident. I'm sending it to crew a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. Then you'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" Soon Henry's anxiety came up again, but he sighed and then said, "Yes, sir," though he was doubtful. When Henry arrived at crew, the workmen there treated him well, and soon he was given a brand new shape. "You look very smart," replied a smartly dressed gentleman. "I'm sure Topham will be very proud to have such a strong engine on his railway." "Thank you very much, Mr. Stanier," replied Henry jovially. "Give father my regards," replied Charles. "I will, and thank you," peeped Henry as he puffed away. He liked being at crew, but was glad to come home. Everyone came out to see him and waved and cheered, and he was given a big welcome home by all the engines in Topham Hatt at Titmouth. They were pleased that he was home again, even James, but now was Gordon's turn to be jealous of the big green engine, and we know what will happen next.